있다가 다시 잡아가지고 이게 좀 희한하게 기분이 좋아져. 나는 분명히 덩긋거렸는데 피아노로 왔을 뿐인데도 기분이 좋지. 이게 진짜 되게 똥맛이지. 이거 먹구나. 내가 저거지. 예전에 이제 너무 빨리 당하는 거 보면 무서워서 못 들어갔어요. 빨리 이거는 해석 금지 방송 아닌가 이거. 사람들이 이제 그치. 나한테 캡쳐야 된다고 그렇게 가지고 사람들이 이제 확인하다가 해석이 뭔가 이제 찾아보다가 나까지 온단 말이야. 사람들이 재미로 나오는 거지. 반대로 사람이니까 바꾸기보다 잘하겠다. 그렇게 콘텐츠가 끝까지 이제 말해놓고 나는 오빠가 사람들이 무시하지. 나는 하지 말라 그렇게 얘기를 그래도 포인 안 하신 게 진짜 놀랍네. 어차피 포인이어도 기분 나요. 그냥 기분이야. 포인을 하더라고. 계속 학교만 들어가고 진짜 하고 난 전에 막 1000만 원, 20만 원 그냥 쉽게 돌아올 수도 있고 사람이 욕심이 자기가 해서 방법이 없고 자기가 학교만 들어가게 되고 자기들 결국 끝은 다 녹는 거죠. 밥이나 뭐 다행이네. 제가 좋네. 이거 뭐 여기다 또 끌고 나가야 돼. 안에를 나가면 뭐 그냥 이런저런 거. 더운 브랜드와 한국 메뉴를 파시더라고. 진짜 이거 뭐라 이거 찍는 거 진짜 알아보는 거 맞지? 이런 거 진짜 멋있게 근데 저도 그 영상이 너무 기억에 남았어요. 1억을 뭐 벌었으면 돈 10배로 이걸 전화 받는 거. 이거 알아보는 분이 너무 많아요. 미니가. 이게 나오도 되나? 영상에 나오도 되나? 네, 사진 한 번만 줬는데 나오죠? 우리랑 괜찮아. 감사합니다. 파이팅! 우리 아까 거 저렇게 안 나왔죠? 잘생겼어요. My name's Francisco. I've been working here at Walmart for 4.5 years in the receiving department. Everybody comes here, does their best, in whatever department they're in, or whatever they need to do. Most of them feel like ticket stronger right now. During this time of need. We have each other's backs, each other wherever we need help, we can go out with somebody else. It makes you feel proud knowing, oh, alright, during this crisis, it's definitely a great feeling tonight. Now there's a wall between us. Something has been lost. I took too much for granted. I got my signals crossed. Just to think that it all began on an uneventful morning. Come in, she said, I'll give you shelter from the storm. 이건 말이 안 된다. 솔직하게 시부를 뭐 내일 계좌 보내줘요. 술값 보내드리죠. 진짜입니까? 단복은 보시죠. 네, 오늘 단복은 7천 가는 날이야. 알겠냐? 모두가 지금 상동을 보고 있을 거야. 지금 여러분들 그 전쟁 rum어가 돌아서 지금 급등한 건데 주식 허리 틀어보냐? 그럼
야, 우리 수빈이가 또 아이스 아메리카노. 무가다가 뭐야? 전국에 딱 하나 있는 체인점 니네 집 아니야? 무가다라는 커피가 있냐? 그래, 이렇게 좀 이름 있는 걸 소이디야 커피라고. 우리 또 제일이랑 분께서 스타벅스의 조각 케이크를 달콤한 디저트 세트 감사합니다. 제일님께서 선물한 달콤한 디저트 세트 새끼들 찾아. 내가 하지 말라 그랬지. 시부랄 새끼들아 존나 패는 줄거리. 와 존나 똥냥아치 새끼들 진짜. 이 개새끼가 이게 씨발. 집 어디야 이 시부랄 새끼야.
What is the real read on retail? The group holding strong as we wrap up the major week of earnings. But we got some news today that could dash hopes of any robust retail rebound. Another 2.4 million Americans filing for unemployment last week. And while we all knew that the number would be awful, it may not be telling the whole story. The total claims exclude hundreds of thousands of self-employed and gig economy workers as well. So with millions of Americans, millions of consumers out of work, which retailers are best positioned for this road ahead? Guy.
Hi, Mel.
Hi, Guy.
I feel it necessary to say hi because I don't see you. So if I were there, I wouldn't have to because it'd be obvious. But so which retailers are best suited in this environment? That's a great question, something we've talked about. I know Steve will talk about Costco, correctly so. Karen has some thoughts on TJ Maxx, but the one I keep coming back to is Dollar General, DG. I think Goldman Sachs just initiated the name with a $202 price target. They report, I believe, on May 28th. People will knock them on valuation, but this is a stock that sort of slow and steady wins the race. You know, Walmart was obviously one of the calls, Target as well, but if you look at the way those two names have traded since earnings, it's a tad disappointing. You have a pretty much Walmart trading up to that previous all-time high and seemingly failing. Similar, although the Target didn't get that high. Target's rolling over as well. That's concerning. So the name for me, and others I'm sure will have other names, would be Dollar General, DG.
I think a question that a lot of viewers at home will have, though, is there's some retailers that have been absolutely taken to the woodshed during this pandemic. And I'm thinking of Macy's. And we saw the stock pop today because the traffic at the reopened stores was moderately better than anticipated, even though they warned of a huge loss of coming in the quarter. So Tim, how do you sort of navigate the sector when you have so many, and you are going to have so many of these giant outside bounces simply because things look so bleak and things are a little bit better than bleak?
So for now, names like Macy's and even the Gap stores and to some extent L Brands, these were broken stories coming into COVID-19, and these are stories that one, you have to always be looking at the balance sheet. Macy's is a name where we spend a lot of time looking at the credit side. Karen talks about the bonds, we talk about the sum of the parts, we talk about the real estate, and at some point you derive some intrinsic value for the core franchise or not. I think in the case of Macy's, it is a case where the assets, I think, are still valuable, even if the core business is going through a dangerous time that is certainly not going to get better. L Brands stock rallied significantly, almost 20% today on the fact that they announced they're going to be closing 250 Victoria's Secret stores. Now, the reason why that's good news is because ultimately analysts have felt that the best thing that they can do is downsize the entire company. COVID-19 is forcing a number of these retailers to have to do that faster and more, so aggressively than they would. And I think that's the opportunity. It seems to me, though, what we've seen has been kind of that gas for trash across retail. And I'm not sure that's something that you want to chase. The ones that have been defensive are the names, Walmart, which to me, I think its best days for this rally are behind it. Not its best days with its consumer group, but again, the largest retailer in the world, arguably, when we talk about the labor market and some of the issues and all that pulled forward sales and a 25 times multiple, I think I've been pretty clear that I don't love Walmart here either.
Right, and the fact that most of the boom happening during a pandemic is happening online, we have been talking about this segment as, yes, that's absolutely the opportunity, that is the wave of the future, Grasso, but at the same time, that is probably the lowest margin way of doing business as opposed to a physical store. So, you're winning on that front, but you're losing on the margin front.
Yeah, you are, but I hate to make it as simple as have and have-nots. And the ones that were weak it's just been exacerbated when you look at a pandemic. So the Macy's and the Kohl's stores, Macy's is down 68%, has a short interest of 38%. I wouldn't dive into that, but you can see the up days, as you had mentioned before. Kohl's stores, down 64% with a short interest of 16%. So these are names that maybe can have blips in the recovery because positioning was just too offsides. But I don't know how they are going to survive. I don't know that Kohl's stores, that is tremendously based on incentives and giving away product, is going to survive. But I will tell you, along with Karen, TJX or Target, or even Ross stores, I think the discounters are going to have their hand at any of the goods that were ordered. They're going to just pick a price, and they're going to be able to get whatever they want. So if you think that Costco, Walmart, Amazon, or Target is overpriced here, then you go with the TJX or Ross stores, something that you think is going to survive, because I don't know about Macy's, and I don't know about Kohl's.
Karen, TJX is a great trade. I mean, it's up 15% today. What do you like about the story? And Tim was mentioning being prudent and how companies are spending their money. TJX is being prudent in another way.
Right. Yeah, so TJX, the quarter was actually awful, really bad, but it wasn't at all about the quarter. It's about what are they seeing going forward. And they are seeing, in stores that are newly open, some of them are actually up over last year, which is really kind of amazing. So, but they did talk about, suspending their buyback and also cutting their dividend. And I think that a lot of companies should be doing that. They get kind of a free pass right now to cutting their dividend. I mean, a month ago we talked about everybody should, withdraw guidance. Now I feel like if there's any question, you should suspend the dividend. I mean, companies like Disney are doing it. And another reason that it sort of gives them some cover is if they're going to furlough employees, which TJX did, and they hope it's temporarily, and it very well may be, then paying a dividend while you're furloughing employees might not be the best optics. But I mean, this is a tremendous company, and it was nowhere near its highs, unlike Walmart and Target, which were near its highs, which made the bar very high for earnings. And even though both of them had outstanding earnings, they still traded off in the face of those very tough earnings. This story is a little bit different. It's still below its highs, but as Steve said, I think the other part of their business, what they pay for their goods, this is,
This is just going to be, this may be the best pricing in paradise. The next piece is out there over here. We'll be very happy. like a Pete Nigerian. I misspoke, by the way. TJX is up 15% on the week. It's up almost 7% today.
여러분 안녕하세요. 지숙이에요. 제가 오늘 라이브 좀 늦었죠? 죄송해요. 대신
My mission is simple: to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. That money starts now. Hey, I'm Kramer. Welcome to Bad Money. Welcome to Great America. I'm one of my friends. I'm just trying to make you some money. My job's not just entertainment, educate, and teach you. So call me 1-800-743-CBC or tweet me at Jim Kramer. Was today's pullback all about profit taking? Or was it the real economy rearing its increasingly ugly head? Every day that the average go down, the Dow slipped 102 points, S&P shed 0.78%, NASDAQ lost 0.97%. We have to ask ourselves the same question. Is the market finally responding to the fact that we have Great Depression-style unemployment, 38 million jobless claims in the last 9 weeks? Or is this just another garden variety sell-off in the wake of a major rally? I'll give you a hint. It's not the real economy driving the bus. Look, I know the market's incredible rebound over the past 2 months seems totally out of sync with what's happening in the rest of the country. Wall Street's become divorced from Main Street, and we're told that's unstable. The thing is, I'm not so sure. This morning on Squawk on the Street, I kicked this idea around with David Faber and Carl Quintanilla. David was incredulous that I thought that perhaps we're just seeing a garden variety sell-off, not some reckoning with the reality of mass unemployment. I mean, how the heck could the market shrug off still another 2.4 million people filing for jobless benefits this very week? Remember, we get those claims Thursday morning. Let's start with the positives that help stem the bleeding today and I'd say almost all week, because that's the key. First, there was the news that Treasury Secretary Mnuchin told an online summit that we'll probably need another stimulus package on top of the $2.2 trillion Congress already appropriated. Guys, that's huge. It tells you the White House is paying attention that are tone deaf to what's happening in this country. Now, we know House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's been trying to pass another multi-trillion-dollar bailout, came on the show to talk about it. But the problems in the Senate didn't even make her counter offer. If the president is pushing for relief, though, that could change. Pelosi won't get her full wish list, but she'll work with Secretary Mnuchin and she's going to get something done. Or he's going to get something done, depending on your outlook. The impact. Well, geez, if you know that several $1 trillion of stimulus could be coming over this summer, that suggests the future will be better than the past. Sure, the economy looks bad now. Gotta believe it looks better with a second gigantic relief package. Second, the Federal Reserve, which controls the printing presses, has been injecting money into the financial system at a furious pace, actually untold, and I'd say the fastest ever. In the last 2 months, we've seen more expansion of the money supply than we got in the first 5 years after the Great Recession started. You hear me? More. 2 months. When you hear that the stock market's only roaring because the Fed is propping it up, well, this explosion of the money supply is what people are talking about. First, I haven't seen the problem. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures, and this is extraordinary time. As long as the Fed's going full throttle and rates stay low, the stock market's going to be a tricky place to be, even in a weak economy. Sorry. Let me put it this way. Any company that can maintain or even increase its dividend right now is a much better buy than leaving your money in cash or bonds. Like it or not, stocks are the only game in town. You've heard that phrase before. I'm sorry, I gotta use it again. It's cliche, but it works. Crazy thing. $4 trillion have been pulled out of this market since the pandemic got rolling. And I think we're seeing some major pent-up demand, just like people who are desperate to for an end to the shelter-in-place order so they can get a haircut. This money on the sidelines that came out, the $4 trillion, it's itching to get back to no control that suggested the vaccine could be effective. That seemed very exciting until the next day, when the company announced plans to sell $1.3 billion worth of stock. Why does a biotech journal question the significance of Moderna's data? The truth is, Moderna's vaccine is in phase 1 trials. It's being tested for safety, not whether it works. I think management suffering from a disease that often afflicts young companies. It's called premature explanation. It's painful. If they'd simply told us the vaccine was safe and left it at that, it would have been better. Well, we'll find out if it works in phase 2. Maybe they get a worse price on the stock market if they'd done it my way, but nobody would feel burned. Controversy aside, though, the fact that they spent all week talking about other vaccine possibilities absolutely cuts in favor of the stock market, because it reminds people that eventually we could get a vaccine. Notice I still said could, not will, and life can go back to normal. More positive, lots of people, including many governors and a few money managers, seem to believe that the virus has been contained. Some even think it was never a big deal to begin with, although that largely seems like a function of geography. If you're living in a region that's mostly unscathed, I can understand feeling this way. I can even maybe think the whole thing's been blown out of proportion. I know there's whole news channels that seem to think that way. A lot of people felt that the way that way in New York. Remember, that's the way we felt at the beginning of March. Now, I really hope the rest of the country can avoid that harrowing experience, and I don't want it to happen, but it happened to us. Don't want it to happen to you. What matters here is that lots of Americans seem to believe we're nearing the tail end of this pandemic, and when we reopen the economy, life is going to go back to normal. There's some of you that says we're about to return to this, well, we're going to do everything. We're going to go to the beach. We're going to take a cruise if they let us. Not to mention getting our hair done, getting our nails done, working out at the gym, and maybe even hitting a packed porn, right? Get a couple of hits. And I think that's too optimistic, but you need to know that this cohort exists. Yo, look, I own a bar. You think I don't want that to happen? Hello? Anyway, so with all these positives, why was the market still down today? Isn't the jobless taking on? I don't think so. I think the averages aren't telling us the truth. The stocks that managed to rally today were recovery plays, retail, housing, some really bad retailers, decent houses, travel, industrial, hey, cruise, plane. They're totally in sync with the whole thesis I just laid out. Down and out mall retail was the strongest part of this up today, for heaven's sake. The weakest performers were actually the stay-at-home stocks like Take-Two Interactive, the video game company we'll hear from later in the show. Essential retailers got slammed, and we'll talk to Target later. In short, there's nothing in today's actions to suggest Wall Street is worried about the economy taking the opposite things, trying to figure out where stocks should be priced. So why the averages go down? Simple. The stocks that got hit are the international techs, the companies that thrive on global commerce, do a lot of business in China, and President Trump's once again ratcheting up tensions with the Chinese. This time attacking his formerly great friend, President Xi. The personal nature of his tweet attacks feels like an escalation. When the White House gets ad hominem, that means companies that do lots of business with China need to get ready for a world of hurt. Wall Street doesn't like ad hominem, and that's why the big international tech stocks left Florida had nothing to do with the horrific labor market here in the U.S. Wall Street is still very much divorced from Main Street. They're not getting together anytime soon. They've already moved into separate houses. They filed the papers. They got a lot of information. Bottom line, the market may have been hit, but today's action was still pretty upbeat about the U.S. economy. The decline in the averages came from the White House once again getting tough with China, which is why I think we should hold off on another trade war until the economy's in better shape. But I understand, I do not think the Chinese have done inexcusable things. As for the pain on me, it's left mainly on the plate, not on Wall Street. Got it? I think you've got it. Devin in Texas. Devin.
Hey, Jim. Thank you for taking my call and everything you do for the attorney. Quick shout out to my buddy out there in Tennessee who's watching this. My question is about a company that I've held for some time now, 5 years. After their recent earnings beat, and I just recently heard that they're delisting from the NASDAQ. I was wondering if this was stuff to hold for the long term.
Look, I went over the quarter. The quarter was a great quarter. But the problem is that I'm only recommending, remember, Alibaba. I know it's real like American financials. I only want to do Alibaba. Why? Because the tensions are so high here. I don't want to wake up and have the president saying that, look, we should short all the Chinese stocks. Hey, really? Let's go to Amit in New Jersey. Amit.
Yeah, hi, Jim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Good to talk to you again. What's going on?
Thank you so much for again both you and yourself and everybody does for us people like us at home. Question for you is like what is I have 2% of my portfolio value which I want to invest. Macy's or Ford. Macy's has a given from loss of
I'm a guy who believes in owning TJX, all right? I want to own all the stuff. I want to own a store that gets all the stuff that the other guys are basically dumping and then marks them on. TJX, very good quarter today. Stock up big, owned by my charitable trust. I need to speak to Brandon in New York. Brandon.
Yeah, booyah, Brandon, man.
What's going on?
So my question's about the war stuff. Your thoughts are long-term.
Long-term, that advertising and their advertising going away. I want very much to recommend the stock of Facebook for people who want advertising because they're also supporting small business and they've got hundreds of thousands of them. Believe me, while they're helping them for free, it's going to be a major game changer in earnings once these companies get their sites rolling. I know the average climate, the actual still upbeat about the economy, the future economy. Remember, the pain on Main is not on Wall Street. On Mad Money Time, with millions of people largely stuck indoors amid the COVID-19 pandemic, video games are more popular than ever. So why is the stock like Take-Two declining today? Hey, let's talk to the CEO. Then I've got the exclusive with the CEO of Target. Find out how the retailer really fared in the first quarter, forget the way the stock's acting, and Palo Alto just reported the close. I'm crunching some numbers with the CEO. They look darn good, fresh off the report. So stay with Kramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com. We're all thinking about our hands, and right now, we'll need them more than ever. America's vital factories, power plants, data, water, waste, national security, hospitals, all need people on the ground to keep them functioning. Because our technology is only as powerful as the people deploying and maintaining it. It takes a human touch.
What the heck happened to the stock Target yesterday? Coming for a great quarter, the stock opened strong, but then it rolled over, finishing the session down nearly 3%. It got in again today. You might look at the action and assume something was wrong underneath. Couldn't be further from the truth. Target posted a phenomenal sales and earnings peak with the same store sales up 10.8%, digital sales up 141%. I keep telling you, this company is one of the few retailers that's actually a winner for the pandemic. They have the scale and the web presence to thrive, even in an environment where people are afraid to go shopping, and they offer value. So why did the stock get hit? In part, it's because management didn't issue the guidance people wanted maybe for the current quarter. They stopped. Too hard to forecast, of course. There were a few pockets of weakness. Apparel. They've had to spend a lot of money, rapidly expand their digital business, fix stores for safety, and of course, reward loyal associates. But maybe I think Target sold up yesterday because the stock had run up dramatically. Going into the quarter, expectations are great. You should be in a bad setup. If this pullback, though, I think we need to focus on the scale of the opportunity because it is huge. So let's check in with Brian Cornell, the bankable chairman and CEO of Target, to get a better sense of the quarter and where his company's headed. Brian, welcome back to Mad Money.
Jim, good to hear your voice. I hope you and your family are safe and well.
We're doing great. I hope same for you.
Same here.
All right, so Brian, I'm going to try to explain to people at home why a company could report great numbers and Wall Street doesn't understand it, but the Main Street people who are watching do. Basically, you have millions of new people who have come to Target who might stay, and that was the important thing about the quarter.
Jim, I have been at Target for years now. I have never been more proud of our team and the way they performed during the pandemic period. And yes, you're right. We have millions of new shoppers who are strength, our store, our online capabilities, and I think we should be really proud of the progress we made during this quarter. Not every day you talk about comps at 10.8%. Our stores were up 1%. Our digital business grew 141%. But behind that, all of those same-day fulfillment options, order online, pick up in store, drive up, having a Shipt shopper bring something right to your doorstep, those grew by almost 300% during the quarter. So I think we've got a lot to be proud of, a lot of momentum. We're building market share. And I think most importantly, Jim, we built trust with American consumers during the pandemic. And the investments we made in our team, the investments we made in safety, those are going to pay dividends for years.
All right, so Brian, let's talk about the cadence, because I thought that was most important. Somebody else focused on apparel. Hey, come on, at the beginning, who was going out? Who needed apparel? As things got, let's say, people got more used to the idea of going to Target, you got more and more repeat buyers, not just people who just sampled, and these people probably have stuck with you since May.
Well, Jim, February was actually a pretty normal month. Our comps were up about 3.8%. Our digital business grew by 33%. By the time we got to April, our business grew by 16.5%, and our digital business up 282%. And we saw strength in April across our entire portfolio. See, the big winner for us during the first quarter was our hardline business, with business over 20%. Categories like electronics, as Americans were sheltering in place and working and educating from home, grew by 45%. The food and beverage up 20%. Our household essential business up over 20%. And we had a huge boom in kitchen, up 25%, as people were obviously entertaining and eating meals at home. But come April, that apparel business also bounced back. And as stimulus checks arrived and we continue to build trust with America, they were shopping in our stores, taking advantage of online, and we saw that apparel business bounce back. So it's the strength of our multi-category portfolio, the ability to shop in our stores and online, that I think was really important during the pandemic.
Brian, there's a couple of, I think, misperceptions, but maybe I'm wrong. Some people feel that there's only room for Walmart and for Amazon as a Target shopper. I don't really get that. Some people feel that you'll never make a lot of money with this pick up at store initiative, that it's too labor intensive. Can you dispel that the gross margins will always be bad for pickup, or that there's no more room than for Walmart and Amazon?
You know, Jim, we've talked about this for several years now. We've talked about the digital economics. And when you move from shipping from a distribution center hundreds of miles away to actually shipping and fulfilling from a store, we ship from the back of our store where we pick and prep and pack it and have UPS or FedEx deliver to your home, about 40% of the cost goes away. But when you use drive up or pick up or Shipt, about 90% of the cost of that digital fulfillment go away. Those look much more like a store transaction. So we're confident that over time, we're going to blur those lines between store transactions and the same day, because again, we made a decision years ago that many questioned. We said our stores are going to be the hub of our fulfillment strategy. Everything evolves around our stores. And when you're ordering online and picking up in a store, well, yes, we call it a digital sale, but you're coming physically to that store. The store does all the work. When you pull into our parking lot, that team member walks out, puts it in your trunk, contact free, you drive off, but the store's at the center of that. Even with our Shipt shoppers, they come shop our Target store, and then 2 hours later, they're bringing it to your home. So what makes us so different and gives us so much confidence in our economic model is it all centers around the stores. And our stores are so productive right now. We talked about stores growing by 1%, but when I think about what was purchased at a store as you were checking out, what was purchased when you ordered online and picked up in a store, or pulled into our parking lot, or had a Shipt shopper fulfill it, those store fulfilled comps, they actually grew by 9%, over 9% during the quarter. So our stores were more productive than ever, and that's going to fuel our profitability over time.
All right, and then one last thing. You spent a lot of money investing in here because of COVID-19. But I'm curious to know the consumer themselves. Want to wear a mask, feel more comfortable with masks, don't mind social distancing, don't want to get out of the car. Where is the consumer in the year of COVID-19 now?
Yeah, I've got to spend a couple of seconds talking about the $500 million we invested in the health, welfare, and safety of our team that extended to the guests. I know there's some questions about, did we spend too much? And I would tell you, I will never apologize for investing in the safety and health and welfare of our team. From day one, when we knew we were going to be an essential retailer and be out there providing America with the medication, the food, the disinfectants, the household products that they needed, we said we've got to take care of our team. And we gave them premium pay in both our supply chain and our stores at $2. We give anyone over 65 pregnant with a pre-existing condition 4 weeks paid leave. And we gave backup care to our entire team. And we also obviously invested in safety, making sure we had people who were regularly cleaning and disinfecting surfaces. We put the plexiglass shields up. We committed to social distancing and made sure there were decals on the floor. We're metering guests. Our teams get masks and gloves every day. We try to create the safest environment in retail. And that's a big part of what's going to be so important going forward. Because I think American consumers and our guests, safety is going to be important. And I think we saw the kind of results we delivered this first quarter because we invested in our team, we created a safe environment, and our team and our guests trust shopping at Target.
Well, Brian, I as a faithful Target shopper, I couldn't agree more. And I want to thank you for taking the time out to come on Mad Money. It's always great to talk to you.
Jim, good to hear your voice. Thank you.
All right, that's Brian Cornell, Chairman and CEO of Target. Remember, they said that they were going to do well when it was at 112 last time, went down to 106, people were upset, and then the next stop was in the 120s. I think the same trajectory could happen again. Mad Money's back after the break.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.
Reports a great quarter, not in spite of the pandemic, but in part because consider the case of Kramer Bank Take-Two Interactive Software, the video game publisher best known for Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and a host of sports franchises under the 2K banner. Last night, Take-Two reported a magnificent quarter. They earned $1.07 per share, when Wall Street was only looking for 89 cents on absurdly better than expected sales of 41% year over year. Digital net bookings were up 60%. Management's forecast for the next quarter was incredibly bullish. Full-year guidance, though, more cautious, and this is not the kind of company that is going to brag about gains, especially if they were helped by a tragic worldwide event. This when the stock roared higher in after-hours trading and true take, but then Take-Two understandably acknowledged that they don't know how long the stay-at-home tailwind will last, and the stock got hammered, ultimately closing down nearly 6% today. I think Take-Two got hit like this because it came in hot. The stock had an epic run going into the quarter, so the floor was ridiculously high. It was set by the stock itself. More importantly, these numbers were phenomenal, and I've been buyer of the weakness, and it is owned by my charitable trust, which you can follow by joining the ActionAlertsPlus.com club, and this is exactly what we said to people today. But don't take it from me. Let's check in with Strauss Zelnick. He's the CEO of Take-Two Interactive Software. Find out more about the quarter and his company's outlook. Mr. Zelnick, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thanks, Jim. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, great, Strauss. Okay, Strauss, it is hard to forecast. We're in one of the most bizarre times in our lives. Here's what I want to know. How many people do you think didn't know about gaming or had forgotten about gaming who have come back to like it with their families and might stick with it no matter what?
Well, it's a great question. It's obviously hard to measure, but we think in addition to our core audience, in addition to our existing casual audience, there were a number of people who were familiar with interactive entertainment from their past but weren't currently enjoying it, who did come and sample it and said, wow, things have really changed. This is incredible, and came back to stay. And I think we've attracted new audiences as well. According to Activate, a leading media consultancy, interest in gaming activity is up something like 40% as a result of this pandemic, about 40%. Now, we've obviously done even better than that, and we've seen with our numbers. But more interesting, Activate's research says that post-pandemic, and this too shall pass, this tragic moment shall pass, of course, they expect that gaming will continue to be up 14% across the board, across all demographics, versus pre-pandemic usage. That's very encouraging.
All right, so let's dig down that. Would this be because the graphics, the chips, everything is much better, the storylines are much better than people realize, or is this just something that people discovered was taught, or millennials in particular who have kids, or baby boomers looking for something to do with their kids, have discovered a joy of something that really used to be very flat when I was doing it with my kids?
Well, I think it's all of the above. You know, the stories are better, the characters are better, the graphics are better, the gameplay is better, but most importantly, there's this notion that you can connect with friends all around the world because you're on a headset, you're talking while you're
야, 나 좀 살려주라. 가스 왜 이래? 연기 아니야, 임마. 진짜야. 좀 심각하게 물렸어요, 여러분들. 야, 이거 가스 진짜 빨래질 제대로 나간다. 어제 칸방 투표한 개돼지 싹 다 나와. 뭐 전문가? 이제 와서 말한다는 게 뭐? 투자의 판단은 본인에게 있다고? 그래서 그렇게 도배했냐, 진짜. 아유, 말을 말자. 시부레 차라리 진짜 진돗개한테 리듬 받고 말지, 진짜. 아, 그래도 인사는 드리겠습니다, 여러분. 반갑습니다. 어서들 오세요. 웃음이 나오네 진짜. 웃으면 안 되는데. 김치같이 왜 이 가죽에 웃음이 나오냐. 진짜 허탈하다. 진짜 오늘은 맞다고요. 일단 이거 먼저 보자. 어제 나한테 이 가스 계속 이제 상관 가라고 호재 뉴스 많다고 자기 믿고 따라오라는 새끼.
나이든 수컷꿀이다.
내가 믿고 따라갔는데 오죽하면 내가 너 가스 상방이라면 네 말 듣고 상황에서 개피 보고 있다니까. 미안해 형 땡땡땡 이걸로 그냥 툭쳐버리려고. 맥도날드 같은 새끼 이거. 야 이거 오늘 대참사 받는 거 아닌가 모르겠다. 지금 심각해요. 굉장히 상황이요. 나 심각한데 오늘 잘하면 로스컵까지 갈 수 있을 것 같고 이러고 있는 내 자신도 존나 웃겨요 진짜로. 내가 이걸 왜 가렸는지 일단 더 빠지기 전에 설명을 좀 드릴게요. 어제 수익을 내가 새벽에 매매를 해가지고 방송 끝나고 1700까지 스파트 올렸거든요. 그래서 담보금이 3500까지 갔어요. 지금 현재는 아니고요. 그리고 이제 현재 오늘 스코어를 이제 오픈할게요. 진짜 못 가겠다. 쪽팔려가지고. 나 진짜 일장 추몽인가봐. 가스에 개 차올려 있어요.
나이든 수컷.
진짜 니네 진짜
지금 연기 후원 만원 감사합니다. 오랜만에 왔는데 큰 웃음 안 껴주셔서 감사합니다.
좋겠다. 이거 진짜 이제 1600 남았어요, 여러분들. 이거 여기서 한 50%만 더 내려가면 이제 슬슬 반대매매 나가요. 큐에 이렇게 나락으로 가네. 진짜 가슴에 양심선언 하세요. 어제 투표 매수가 아웃도어했는데 매수에 투표한 시부랄 구름이 새끼들아. 그 대신은 열칠 수가 없어. 뭐 유튜브는 매매를 잘한다? 스마트도 하다? 아, 나 진짜 한 번이 없냐고. 와, 나 돌아버리겠네. 야, 안 된다. 나 오늘 진짜 여러분들 야, 씨. 여기 또 어떤 사람이 자기랑 똑같이 물렸다고. 야, 이러니 시부랄 이게 뭐까지, 여기저기서 지금 매수 개쳐 물려가지고 지금 당연히 빼지. 내가 세력이라도 시부에 진짜, 이게 뭐냐, 이거. 5일에 34기억을 들어가지고 마이너스 6만 5천 달러를 쳐물렸네. 단가가 25.40이면은 야 뭐야 올린 사람이 한둘이 아니네. 어제 저 투표로고 매수 딸려 들어간 불나방들 존나 많네. 나 포함해서 봐보세요 여러분들. 자 이 새끼 한 놈 나도 죽겠다고 한 놈 두 놈 형 나도 불렸어. 지금 335 불나방들이 비명소리가 카톡으로 지금 제보가 들어오고 있어요. 미안하다 씨부라 일단 나부터 살고 보자. 그만 보내 이 씨부라 새끼들아. 나 좀 살려줘. 매매 징그럽게 못하는 새끼들 진짜. 어제 진짜 매수 펌프칠하는 새끼들 진짜 좀 자꾸 반성해라 진짜로. 리딩을 하지를 말아. 미래에서 온 새끼도 아니고 그만해라. 형 같이 죽자 씨부라 새끼들 혼자 죽고. 이래서 이게 가스가 존나 무서운 새끼들인 게 잠깐 수익은 줘요. 완전 도박장도 아니고요. 진짜 타짜의 교수처럼 수익을 맛보게 해줘. 그렇게 다 가져와. 진짜 치밀한 새끼들이야 이 세력들은. 이런 사람 많죠 여러분들. 2,500 벌고 76만원 먹었더니 정신적으로 뭔가 안심이 되는 이런 데가 너무 심해. 원래 그래 이 새끼야. 우리가 많이들 봤던 영화 타짜 교수조차도 모든 돈을 다 날리고 마지막 그 꼬치 한덩어리에 공중제비 도는 게 사람 본능이에요. 혹시라는 여성 시청자가 오빠 안주 뭐 먹고 싶으세요? 기프티콘 보내드릴게요. 개 스팸 씨발 돼지 새끼 이거 돌아다니는 씨발 진짜. 너 한 번만 더 이 사람 능욕하면은 진짜 사실 싹 다 자료 수집해서 고소한다. 인간 백숙 같은 새끼야. 저 닭 한 마리에서 튀어나온 거 같네. 진짜 가스가 내가 이거를 만약에 아까 매수가 아닌 매수를 샀으면은 지금 계좌 5천 넘었지. 아까 3,500까지 왔으니까. 근데 내 생각인데 이건 음모론이야. 내가 매도를 잡았으면 아마 올라갔을 것 같아요. 그런 생각 안 해봤냐? 이게 진짜 소름 돋는 게 뭔지 아십니까? 코로나로 개인들 존나 공포 분위기 조성하면서 이걸 시골에 다시 또 이렇게 제자리 돌려놓기. 개인들은 매도 주구장창 잡았을 거 아니야. 왜? 코로나가 아직도 해결된 게 아닌데 이거 왜 가지? 5천미네 계속 매도 하다가 그냥 마탱 가는 거야. 이거 어떻게 보면 진짜 우리가 상상할 수 없는 로스차일드 일루미나티 그 이상의 세력이 있어요. 그렇지 않고서야 어쩌면은 그런 생각도 문득 들어. 사실 코로나는 이 시당 뒤에 언론 플레이가 아닐까. 진짜로 감염된 사람이 있긴 있을까. 여러분들 주변에 있나요? 저는 없거든요. 내가 너무 유튜브를 많이 봤다. 진짜 못 봐서 그런 거예요. 이게 해설을 하다 보면요 주식도 마찬가지고 음모론을 믿게 돼. 그림자 정부라는 책이 있어요 여러분들. 그거 한 번씩 보세요 진짜. 나는 내 상상에 있는 거를 여러분들께 공유를 해준 거예요. 여러분들도 혹시 그런 생각 하실 분 계실까 싶어가지고. 그러니까 눈으로 안 본 건 안 믿게 되는 거지. 사실은 바이러스 그 자체가 좀 약간 뻥튀기된 이 큰 그림을 그리기 위한 이 나스닥. 야 심지어 영화 감기에서도 고작 후딱 개잡초 하나로 주가 뻥튀기 하려고 그런 작전을 치는데 이 나스닥에서는 이거는 자금이 어마어마할 건데 어설픈 걸로 이런 차트가 그려지겠냐고. 선물이 이렇게 무섭습니다. 정신이 이렇게 무너지네. 맞아요. 지금 얼굴도 정신도 다 무너져 내리고 있어요. 당장 나라도 만약에 나스닥을 코로나 한참 매수 많이 났는데 이 부덕박스 보이시죠? 여기에서는 당연히 매도 따라붙지 씨부라고 이거 어떻게 매수로 스타팅을 들어가. 이게 정상적인 차트냐고 솔직히 지금. 공장도 다 스탑된 상태고 상가들 다 지금 락다운된 상태고 근데 이게 올라가는 게 씨부의 일반이 상식적인 말이 되냐. 거기다가 또 이번에도 오일쇼 이게 씨부의 마이너스 6감 40불인가 뭔가 그게 말이 됩니까? 나 진짜 이런 거 얘기하기 시작하면 진짜 끝도 없어. 다 필요 없다. 그래 난 오늘만 산다. 오늘의 가스가 나의 영광을 주기를 믿습니다. 뭐든 좋다 씨부라 그래. 일단 나만 살고 보자. 야 잠깐만요. 제가 개발한 무조건 돈 따는 방법입니다. 한번 읽으세요. 대대주기법 후반불 셀반불이 성공하는 겁니다. 상식 반대해야 돈 따는 세상이다. 논리적이지 않냐고. 이걸 이제 알았네 이 새끼는. 이걸 야 성화야, 너 남들보다 한 3년 뒤늦게 학원 마쳤을 것 같은데 공부 존나 못했지 너 성화야. 이걸 이 새끼는 지금 발견한 것처럼 얘기하네. 그런 같은 새끼. 위대한 발견했다. 나보다 평장가 부대기 있다요? 야 돈 빠진다. 아 머리 지친다네 진짜. 이거 왠지 좀 드는 생각인데 다시는 되돌릴 수 없는 자리에서 물린 게 아닐까 싶어요 지금. 이거 저점 깨지면 진짜 헬게이 들린다. 이런 건 왜 물어보는 거야? 이런 평균 가지고 있으면 열심히 살할 건가요? 그런 질문을 왜 하는 거냐? 그냥 궁금해서요. 그러면 넌 바로 차단이다. 말 잘해라 이 새끼야. 도마 위에 생선 같은 새끼야. 죄송합니다. 한 번만 살려준다. 어? 저기 총리님이 후주야 제발 확실한 자리에서만 매매하라. 그게 어딥니까? 확실한 자리가? 어디가 나 확실한 자리다 여기 써있냐? 왜 저런 얘기가 나오지? 저것도 많이 쓰는 용어야. 이 파생 출작들이 자주 쓰는 용어야. 확실한 자리 아니면 들어가지 말아라. 아니 시부에 확실한 자리면 집 팔아서 들어가지. 말 존나 편하게 하는 거야 그냥. 둘리님이랑 그냥. 그치 확실한 자리에서 들어가라면서 믿고 들어갔는데 시부를 누울 자리 되는 거지. 그냥 아무 말 대잔치야. 시부에 다 없어. 아 그리고 여러분들 그 저희 그냥 가입만 하셔도 이게 제가 1등을 하게 되면 벤틀리를 준대요. 내가 봤을 때 유일한 벤틀리는 저밖에 없어요. 벤틀리 좀 많이 해주셔가지고 돈 넣지 마시고 포인트 준다니까. 매매를 해라 이런 게 아니라 한번 의리로 좀 도와주실 분들은 가입만 한번 해주시고요. 저한테 뭐 인증을 해주신다면은 단톡방 하이패스권 드릴게요. 이 홍보를 내가 아니면은 어디 뭐 맘카페 이런 데서 벤틀리를 받아가요. 맘카페 운영진이 받아가기를 원하신다면은 그냥 저희가 안 써도 돼요. 그래도 박보드가 받아서 실시간으로 이렇게 녹여내는데 이번에 근데 만약에 제가 벤틀리를 받는다 일단은 뭐 급한불 몇 개 끄고 바로 단번으로 다 들어갈 거예요. 저만 좋자고 하는 게 아니라 이제 그 토요일날 이번 주 댓글 선착순 3만 명한테 코인을 하나 넣어달라고 그런 거 같은데 다시 한번 거기 공지사항 보시고요. 토요일날 댓글 이벤트 방송 한번 할 거거든요. 3만 명 안에 들어가면 되거든요. 설마 손이 아무리 쳐느린 진짜 영감탱이라도 3만 명 안에 해선을 권해라. 왜 코인을 권하냐. 이런 새끼들이 진짜 쓰레기예요. 아니 어떻게 해선을 권할 수가 있지? 차라리 코인을 권하는 게 낫지 이 새끼야. 만약에 지금 해선 코인 다 해보신 분들 누구 옆집 아저씨며 옆집 사람한테 둘 중에 하나를 권한다면 뭘 권하겠습니까? 당연히 코인을 권하지 씨발 새끼야. 해선이 더 개쓰레기야. 네, 안녕하세요. 아 진짜 가스 다시 보지 말자. 이거 상황 정리를 해드리면 메모장에 적힌 그대로고요. 아까 이거 지옥을 봤는데 여기에서 1분만 늦었으면은 이거 롭스콘 나갔어요 진짜로. 그나마 대화가 되는 놈이니까 형 좀 살려주라. 지금 빨리 입금 좀 해줘. 이거 안 그러면 롭스콘 나가. 여기서 나갈 뻔한 거 살아났습니다 여러분들. 그런 상황이고 이게 여러분들 지금 뭔가 모르게 기분이 안 나쁜데 나 이거 미친 상황이냐 이거? 나름 선방했다고 해야 될까? 완전한 사역이라고 해야 될까? 바닥을 찍고 그래도 나름 또 여기서 정리했다고 뭔가 기분이 한결 나아졌어. 이거 왜 그런 거죠? 잠깐만요. 미장 열렸구나. 왜 아무도 말을 안 하지? 미장 check. 야 나스닥 상계약 들어갈 수 있다. 잠깐만요. 짝짝이 구간 다 왔고요. 잠깐만요. 지금이야. 자 60억자. 됐자. 잠깐만요. 나스닥 스무스하게 100만원만 먹자. 지금 자리 굉장히 좋아요. 일단 짝짝이가 지금 곁들어져가지고 5.20 구간이거든요. 그렇지. 스무스하게 가자. 이거 족밥 아닙니다. 마이크로 안 해요 저는요. 야 나보다 평가가 좋은 사람 있냐? 예? 어떻게 저 자리가 9점인지 알았냐고요? 그건 말 못하지. 척이는 소리인데 스무스하게 딱 100만원만 먹고 나오죠. 야 저기 그 영상 미안한데 씨발 진짜 어디서 웃음 포인트를 찾아야 할지 모르겠다. 내가 근데 요새 이래요. 뭔가 웃긴 동영상을 봐도 하나도 안 웃겨요. 그냥 내 자신이 제일 웃긴 것 같아요 진짜로. 저 거울 보면서 아 어떻게 저런 새끼야. 야 그냥 그만하자. 야 이거 100만원만 먹자. 진짜 욕심 부리지 말자. 그렇지. 야, 진짜 이렇게 17번만 먹자, 오늘. 나이다. 지금이야! 1스테이지 클리어. 이제 17스테이지 16번만 발라먹겠습니다. 진입, 청산, 모든 게 완벽했다. 여기서 100점 만점에 85점 주겠습니다. 여기서 스와핑을 들어갔어야 되는데 아직은 좀 수량이 부족하네요. 좀 더 갈고 닦겠습니다. 아직 더 달려야 되나봐. 잠깐만요. 말 걸지 말아보세요. 스케일핑은 이렇게 부족한 직업이에요. 잠시만요. 지금이야! 됐다! 다시 한번 100만원 찍고 됐어. 아까보다 훨씬 좋아요. 됐어. 그렇지. 완벽한 자리 아니면은 남들보다 생각이 빨라도 좋은 게 아니야 이게. 그렇지. 이게 맞죠. 이번 거 150 발라먹고 나오자. 오늘 단복은 깔끔하게 다시 저거 싹 다 매칭하자. 그래 진짜. 야 지렸다. 순간 타이밍, 순발력, 진입 센스, 왔고 모든 게 완벽해. 맞아줄 타이밍. 지금이야. 어쩔 수 없는 파트라쇼인가 봐. 싹 나 있다. 정판 새끼 죄송합니다. 다시 간다. 지금이야. 됐다. 완벽해. 정확한 자리에서 들어왔어. 남들보다 반 박자 생각이 빨라야 돼요. 한 박자가 빨라도 안 됩니다, 여러분. 불꽃 남자 바꾸도 잘 보세요, 여러분. 잠깐만요. 자기야.